Now, I would like to welcome a dear friend to both the travel industry and to me personally from the Israeli Ministry of Tourism, Mr. Chad Martin. Chad.
Shalom, my friends. You know, for the longest time, I had this date circled on my calendar as the potential relaunch of the Israel travel market from North America, the mainstream Israel travel market from North America. What better time than addressing so many leaders from our national travel industry in such an important and iconic location. But we're not there yet. You know, we had hoped for a peace agreement, and yet we're not there yet. We do know, though, in the travel industry, how to hold on to hope. And Zane kind of alluded to that through the hardship of COVID and so many other disasters that seem to touch our industry more than others. And we're going to do that today. We're going to hope for a safe return of the hostages to Israel. We're going to hope for peace in our time, and that no one endures any more suffering, and that moment is near. Now, I can't help but note that for me, it's been a very difficult week. We're now 1 week after the anniversary of 9/11, and just a few weeks before the anniversary of October the 7th. 2 harrowing days that have indelible marks on my soul as an American, as a New Yorker of 19 years now, and as a Jew. And I know that so many of you feel the same way on that day. I remember when someone came to my dorm room, I was a freshman in college, my 3rd week, and said a plane had hit one of the towers. I remember turning on my TV and then witnessing live the 2nd tower. And then 9 months later, I was hosted by the very Israeli consulate in New York where I now work. The Israeli consulate hosted me in New York to show up and show that I cared, to show up and bear witness. And that's a lot of the ways that we've seen people show up and be witnesses to what happened in Israel. Now, many of you may look at this chart and say, wow, that looks a lot like a COVID chart, 2020. But there's one really important difference on this chart. It never hits 0. On October the 6th, Israel had a record number, thousands of tourists from North America. Many months in 2023, we went over 100,000 tourists per month to Israel, shattering previous records. On October the 8th, we had 26 tourists in Israel. I have to say, as an aside, that about half of them came from an ASTA travel agent, Joanna Green, from outside of Philadelphia. And Joanna told me it was the most meaningful trip she'd ever planned. I'm paraphrasing. Most meaningful trip she'd ever planned. That group stayed on the ground, and they gave a lot of hugs, and they felt what it was like to be Israeli, but they also felt what it was like to be in the Holy Land. What a special experience. In November, we saw about 15% of our tourists return, more than we thought. Then we knew we were onto something. By December, we were at 24%, about 1 in 4. By January and February, 38%, and we've never dipped below that December number. Why is it only at that number? Because only El Al is flying. We're at 99% capacity for those flying to Israel. So if you want to ask me, how's Israel tourism going? It's as good as it can be right now. It's as good as it can be. And it is that hope tourism that's carrying the day. I say hope tourism because one of the tour operators from Israel corrected me when I said solidarity or voluntourism. She said it's so much more than that. It means so much more when you go there and you hug Israelis and you're in this special place and you take it with you and they take it with themselves. Now, that did not reach all of the tour operators in Israel, I'm sorry to say. It's not that we're at 40% and everyone's getting a fair share. Many operators are in a very similar position that you were during COVID. We have just released our support for that industry, sort of emulating the CARES Act and how Zane worked so quickly to secure our industry here. In Israel, if you've lost 80% of your business, the government will pay about 94% of the salaries that you have. If you've lost 70% of your business, they will also do that in the next level. Almost no one has lost less than 70%. So it is a very dire time for our travel industry. A lot of you may want to know how you can help. And I was asked that question by Alex Sharp on his trip. I was actually on that trip. Most people don't know that because it got so much attention when Alex did it. But he planned it himself. I just met him in Israel. And he asked me at a vineyard in the Golan, how can I help right now? And there, it was really simple to answer because I just had to say, you're doing it right now, Alex. People need to see that tourism to Israel is possible. Are we undergoing hardship? Yes. Are times difficult? Yes, they are. But sites are open. People are waiting for you. And if you're willing to go, they're willing to have you. And the industry needs to see you leading. And he did just that already since his trip. A couple of you have come forward and asked for me, how can I get to Israel? The industry needs to see their leaders coming if we hope to recover from this. Now, I know that it's not the time for everyone to come to Israel. Different people have different comfort zones. I would hop on a plane tomorrow. I know Alex would too. But I want you all to think about when that might be that you go. And to drive that home, I want to go back to my early years in New York that I talked about. A friend of mine was a comedian, go figure, such a cliche, was a comedian, and he took a broadcasting class. And he said, did you know that over the airwaves, they can hear your smile? They can hear when you're smiling over the airwaves or over the phone. Our smile in the travel industry is firsthand experiences. That's the smile that people hear, is that you've been there. And it starts with leaders like yours, advisors seeing that it's possible, advisors knowing that this very transformative experience is even more transformative. Now, did we see the Nova site that has become our ground zero? Yes, we did. And it was powerful, and we wept. Did we see a kibbutz that was attacked? Yes, we did. But we also went to Jerusalem and saw the pools of Siloam that were just uncovered. They did not know where they were 10 years ago. We went to Magdala, home of Mary Magdalene, which Father Solana uncovered in 2009. They didn't know where it was, and they know now with 3 different synagogues where likely Jesus preached. Think of that combination and how moving and how powerful that was. It was the most meaningful trip of my life, and I've been to Israel over 20 times. So if there's a will, this is my promise to you, if there's a will, we, Dina Orenbach is here from the ministry, we'll find a way. All of us from the ministry. I can't promise that we'll pay to host your trip. But I can promise you, where there's a will, we have a very capable and savvy travel industry. And we'll find a way to get back to where we were when 200 ASTA travel agents came to Israel in 2019. Thank you, and may we find peace in our time.